So remember I mentioned to you about the difference between Tahitian and the bourbon beans. So today I harvested 2 different lots of beans. This is a bourbon bean, and you can see where it's gone yellow. Whoops, sorry, just trying to get the best yellow down at the tips there. That is the time to harvest. All right. These beans, these are Tahitian beans, and you can see how they went brown while still on the vine. You could not do that with a bourbon bean. If you left it like this bean would have split open, and then you've got a lower grade bean. Whereas the Tahitian, you can actually leave it on the vine, but see how this one was left on a little bit too long, and it's starting to dry up at the ends. So it's really important that you go out and inspect your vines when you know that they've got beans at least once a week, so that you can harvest them before they either split or they start going dry at the ends. But we harvest everything, even with this little one. This was a deformed small one that didn't mature, but it went yellow, because we process them all the same and they become part of our products here. So these are the green, and this is after 9 months of living on the vanilla vine. So then we harvest. When we harvest, we then do the processing stage, and there's a hot water bath, and then there's 2 weeks of sunning for the beans. So it's called the sweating and the curing process. So we use sweat. As you can see how big the bean is, that's got a lot of moisture content in it, and what we need to do is get them down to this. I've got 3 different beans here that are still processing. They're not complete, but they're all at different stages. This one still has quite a lot of moisture in it, but it's lovely and brown, and this is when I massage to get the oils out. That one is just about ready to go to the final stage, and you can see the oils are starting to come into that one, as well as this. I wish you could smell these. They're beautiful. So as you can see, the big difference to what you have to do to get your beans down to that. This weighs, when it's green, this weighs around about 15 to 20 grams. By the time you finish processing to that, it's only about 3 to 4 grams. So there's a lot of moisture content that you have to naturally get rid of through the sunning and curing techniques. So that's those 3. And these ones have been sitting in my room, vanilla room, for a few months now, and they've actually been vacuum packed so that we stop the air getting to them, because if they stayed like this, they would eventually turn into sticks, very hard sticks, because they still keep processing naturally. So what we're going to do is that I'm going to actually open one of these, show you how to open a bean, have a look inside a bean, and then just give you a few little different things that I do with them. So to open it, you need a nice sharp knife, and you just put the bean, this is the top of the bean, that's the bottom. And from the bottom, I'll open up the whole thing. So you start from the top and you just make a little point, put the sharp bit of the knife into the top there, and you just run it down the length of the bean. until you split it open. And then I'll just show you before I scrape it. All the black little seeds in there, that is called vanillin or vanillin. That is your gold, all of that. And see, it's all over my fingers. And then what we do, you take the top end of your knife and you just scrape. I'm just going to scrape a little bit. If you were baking, you would only need this much for a teaspoon. If a recipe says 1 teaspoon of vanilla, you would need that little bit. There. That's how strong the flavor will be. So what I'm going to do with that is one little thing that we do. I have here a little bit of raw cane sugar. So you could make your own vanilla sugar. And what we're going to do is scrape that little bit that I just scraped out and put it into the sugar. Stir it around. As it dries up, you'll see that the vanilla will, it's a bit oily, but as it stays in the sugar, it will break up even more. So we just stirred it around. Yeah, you see the black? The longer you leave it in the sugar, the more flavor of vanilla you're going to end up with. If you wanted to, once you've used all the inside of the bean, you can actually stick this whole thing into your vanilla container, your sugar container, and it will give you the vanilla flavor inside your sugar as well. You can even, when you're finished with it, put it into a bottle of your favorite, whether it's coconut oil, any body oil, natural body oil, and infuse your vanilla bean in there, and then you'll end up with a beautiful vanilla aroma for your body. Yeah. To store it, once you've cut it like this, do not put it in the refrigerator. So do not store your vanilla beans in the refrigerator. So what I would do is wrap it up into wax paper, kitchen paper, which is waxed. Wrap it up nice and tight and put it into an airtight container. You can put it into a Ziploc bag and just make sure you get the air out of it, or put it in a container. But as long as you wrap it up in wax paper, then it will keep. And then just leave it, make sure it's not exposed to the sunlight. That's the main thing. You don't want it exposed to the air and the sunlight, otherwise next time you go back to it, it'll be a little stick. But if it does become a little stick, chop it up small like that and grind it up in a coffee grinder, and you'll end up with a little bit of vanilla powder. So a beautiful, beautiful vanilla bean can do so much. It can really do a whole lot. And don't be afraid to try different things with it. Oh, and another thing you can do with this is make your own vanilla extract. You would need more than one bean though, for maybe, let me just see. This is our bottle. So this is a 300 ml bottle. If you were going to make an extract for yourself, around about 300 mils, I would use, for that size container, I would use at least 4 beans in there. And what you do is you just split it open like I showed you, put it into a container, make sure that the bean is the alcohol covers the bean, and leave it there for at least minimum of 2 months. The longer you can leave it without being tempted to use it, the more vanilla flavor and strength you're going to get with your extract. For the alcohol side of things, for your extract, just use your favorite vodka, favorite gin, favorite rum, anything. And the other thing that we use the vanilla for is our beautiful, beautiful vanilla syrup. And if you look very closely up the top, you will see all the vanillin or vanillin that came from inside here sitting up the top. The other, this is our smaller extract there. And then what I do also with the vanilla bean, when I've used everything up, I make our own starfruit and vanilla jam. So again, that's another idea that you can use the bean for. Don't ever throw the bean away when you've finished using everything inside. You can put this inside when you're making your own custards. Put a whole bean, as long as you split it open so that the vanillin comes out. Boil it up in there, and there's just so much you can do. But don't ever throw it away. Once you've used everything that's inside, even if you've used it, like if you were going to make the make custard and you end up washing it just to get all the custard off it, just dry it out. Once you've washed it, dry it out and then put it away. Again, just cut it up. When everything's finished, cut it up and turn it into vanilla powder so that you've utilized every single part of the vanilla bean. I experimented with the Afghan cookies, and Mele there, her and her father, they actually have a business called Kokomoni, and they do koko, salmon koko, and salmon coffee. And their koko is just beautiful, really smooth and gorgeous. So I grate their koko, and I use that in my Afghans. So you know how Afghans have cornflakes, they have cocoa powder. So I don't use the store-bought cocoa powder. I grate the cocoa and I put that into the Afghans along with the vanilla syrup and the vanilla extract. And I actually put the syrup as well and the salmon cocoa into the icing. So you know how Afghans have the chocolate icing? Again, no store-bought cocoa powder going into that. It's grated salmon cocoa. And I put a teaspoon of the vanilla syrup. And the vanilla syrup actually, because the vanillin up here, it has its natural oils. So when I put the vanilla syrup into the icing, it actually makes the icing not really buttery, but it's got a very nice smooth texture, smooth taste to it. It doesn't taste like icing sugar. You know how sometimes icing sugar, you can tell that it's icing sugar? Just gives it another dimension altogether. Takes it to, it's just so smooth. So yes, my Afghans are becoming quite popular down at my market. And I've talked to you today about the bean. So the bean is the hero. So again, it's gone from a green mature bean to processing. Processing takes about 4 to 5 months to this product, to the end product where you receive it. So when you really think about it, that it takes 9 months for the bean to mature on the vine, and then another 4 to 5 months before it gets to you. So you're looking at least 12 to 14 months, and that is why vanilla is so expensive. Using real vanilla, you will not go back to synthetic vanilla after using real vanilla. I guarantee you that. There's nothing compares to real vanilla.